This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Head to NordVPN/Blokes and use the discount code Blokes and you'll get 71% off a 2-year plan, plus an extra free month and a free gift. What do you know about VPNs, Dan?
Bargain. I'm going to use that myself. I actually use NordVPN, believe it or not.
Nice.
Got family who live overseas and they would remind me all the time, I can't get this, I can't access that, I can't. I said, get a VPN.
Yeah.
Which VPN should I get? I said, just use NordVPN. I said, it's the best one. I said, and he said, can you set it up for me? Sure enough, set it all up, sending the codes and everything. And
easy to do.
Very easy to do. Yeah,
nice.
I did it remotely. And but to use a VPN, for me, I mean, I use one myself as well. Whenever I log in, it's security on it's great.
Yeah,
so it's, I can watch stuff from different parts of the world which you wouldn't be able to access if you just go and especially when I used to live in the Middle East and all using a VPN there was just
Netflix, Amazon Prime, all that sort
everything.
of stuff.
You can access certain. There's a lot of, especially if you're traveling as well.
Yeah.
Country to country, there's a lot of restrictions what you can do to access certain things in other countries.
Yeah.
But NordVPN's the best one for me. It is anyway.
Nice. Keeps your data.
It's great that they're a sponsor of the show as well now. So it's
keeps your data safe then, I guess.
Yep.
Right then. So don't forget, head to NordVPN, type in /Blokes, type in discount code Blokes, and you'll get 71% off a 2-year subscription with a free month and a free gift.
71%. It's almost free.
I know you'd be crackers not to, wouldn't you? Right. Cheers for that one, guys. Hi guys, welcome to Office Blokes React. I'm Office Bloke Dave.
I'm Office Bloke Daz.
Collectively, we're two of the Office Blokes, aren't we?
Yeah.
It is true. All the old tropes coming out today.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Office Bloke Mike has been called away on a family emergency, so he's not with us today, but he will be back very soon, don't worry.
Yeah.
Hashtag pray for Mike.
Pray for hashtag donate £1.50 for his funeral.
That's a bit expensive, isn't it? Anyway, so he will be back soon, don't worry. 7 forgotten US remakes of classic British shows. This is on Lost in the Pond, and it's his new video. He's been
not done much Lost in the Pond for a few weeks. Quite like Lawrence.
Yeah,
he's got a good channel.
I think we kind of overdid reacting to his content.
Yeah, we did.
Like we tend to do with everything.
Yeah.
You know, we enjoy it and then we binge it.
Yeah.
I know that there's a remake of Shameless.
Shameless, that's proper. It's too close to home for me, Shameless.
They've called them the same characters. It's Frank Gallagher and stuff like that.
It's proper too close to home because it's just like growing up.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch The Royal Family?
Love The Royal Family.
Right, well that was me growing up.
Yeah.
And it was even to the point of where I had to answer the door no matter where I was in the house.
Yeah.
You know, my dad would shout me. And even to the point of him getting a girlfriend who was from Altrincham.
Yeah.
I thought, no way, they're copying.
There's a lot of... I'm on both sides of the fence with the Royal Family because obviously growing up in Altrincham, so when they're all going, ooh, Altrincham, I'm like, yeah, all right. But also, there's a lot of the things my dad said that were just straight out of the Royal Family.
We were just that family. Everything, even the girl looked like my sister, the whole everything. It was just exactly the same.
As far as I know, the Royal Family hasn't been remade. I don't think there's a US remake. I don't think it'd translate.
No, it wouldn't.
But then Shameless. And I think it did like 7 or 8 seasons in the States. I think it did pretty well.
Yeah.
The In-Betweeners, there's an American version
right,
of.
Okay.
It looks bad.
In-Betweeners was funny over here.
The thing is, when you try and take iconic sort of things from over here and just transplant them to other countries, which I know they do. I grew up watching Spaced, which is Simon Pegg.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that got sold to multiple other countries and they've got their own versions
when
of
success kicks in, and they sort of like normally go away and sort of like say, put it on a different platform, different country. You've got to change it for the nationality. I
mean, the American Office is bigger than the British version ever was. I've never really watched it, but I like the British version so much that I've never needed to.
Let's see what it shows.
Yeah, I mean, Gavin and Stacey, the first one there, I've never watched it. It's just,
you haven't?
No, I've seen clips of it on Gogglebox and things like that.
It's quite funny.
It's not for me, and it's James Corden. So.
When James Corden was funny,
right
before he sold out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's sold out since then.
Even there, he just looks annoying. But anyway, we'll get into it. 7 forgotten US remakes of classic British shows.
The television network Fox were this close to airing a show called Us and Them, with John Ritter's son and Rory from the Gilmore Girls cast in the lead roles. Hello, this video is sponsored by BritBox, the premier streaming service for Britain's most beloved TV shows. And speaking of TV shows that came from Britain, much has been made over the years of British TV shows that got American remakes. Successful ones include The Office, House of Cards, and my personal favourite, The Antiques Roadshow. Well, today,
It's House of Cards, the British show first. I've never heard of that.
No, me neither.
My cat, who is likely to add nothing to the discussion, are going to look at 7 wildly popular British TV shows and their less remembered American counterparts. So let me hand you over to YouTube sensation Lawrence Brown, who's by the television, to explain more. Approximately 300 years ago in the 1990s, the BBC ran a television show that was a cult favourite among science fiction fanatics. And that show, a comedy favourite among some Americans that I speak to, is Red Dwarf. Set aboard a spaceship of the exact same name, Rimmer, Crichton and the gang spanned multiple seasons. Sadly, or thankfully, depending on how you look at it, the same cannot be said of their US equivalent. A pilot episode for Red Dwarf USA was created by Universal Pictures in the early 1990s. The hope was that a full season would be greenlit by NBC to go live in 1992, and the show was intended to be a direct remake of the British equivalent, keeping the same characters, only for the most part played by different actors. However, after much recasting and re-scripting, the pilot was not picked up for a full season. In fact, the cast is what people mostly took issue with, including the cast, who determined that the bloke hired for Lister was not in fact right for the part. The 1990s saw another British comedy that found...
I've never seen one Red Dwarf.
Have you not?
No, I couldn't stand it.
It was good years ago, and then they brought it back for the TV channel Dave over here. They started doing a few new seasons of it.
Was that named after you?
Yep.
Was that the English version of you?
It is,
Dave.
Yeah. It was pretty good. I liked it when I was younger.
No, it's just... Gash is the only way I could.
But I think one thing they're doing there is something that's got such a cult following, because I know Red Dwarf in the States has got a huge cult following, and they already have the thing that they like. So to remake it, presumably for the same audience, it's never
a money
gonna,
spinner, though, isn't it?
It's never going to work, is it?
It's another money spinner.
I remember
it wasn't good. It wasn't that good.
I remember when Craig Charles got in trouble because he was smoking crack in the back of a taxi and lots of
streetcars.
I'm not sure, but there was a lot of other stuff he was up to, and his wife left him, and he went to rehab and everything like that. And just as his wife took him back, I was sat in the pub next to him in Hale, and it's one of them where, obviously, in an area like that as well, you just respect people's boundaries.
Yeah.
You don't go up and it's like, no way, you're that guy. And whenever I told people about it, they went, you should have got a picture. And I'm like, it's widely in the press that his wife has just taken him back, and he was sat with his wife in the pub.
He still lives local.
I know. But I'm not going to be there like, it's you, and trying to get a picture.
Stand out, his accent.
Yeah.
Audience in the United States. Aired on Comedy Central and BBC America, Absolutely Fabulous was the brainchild of its star Jennifer Saunders. Considered one of the best comedies of the 1990s, the show centres around Eddie and Patsy, who are characterised by their heavy drinking and desire to cling on to their youth. And even while the show was airing, we got very close to seeing an American version starring none other than Carrie Fisher. The idea was floated around by Roseanne Barr, although ultimately never went ahead. However, Joanna Lumley and Jennifer Saunders would later make an appearance on Roseanne, portraying their ab-fab characters. Years later, in 2008, Fox greenlit a pilot episode for a new American remake that would have starred Kathryn Hahn and Kristen Johnson in the lead roles. But by 2009, Fox decided not to go ahead with the series, and the American remake of Absolutely Fabulous was absolutely not. We're on. Dad's Army was a TV show that I watched when I was young.
Just before he gets
I've never seen Absolutely Fabulous neither.
I've seen some of it in passing, like my parents watching it when I was a kid. I'm not against an American remake of that. I think it could translate. Yeah. It's just the kind of sort of lower middle class alcoholic women that just like going out shopping and just looking down on people. Translates. That's quite a global thing.
Yeah, I think I have no problem remaking anything.
No, it's just whether or not it'd work.
Yeah, that's not my decision.
Yeah,
Someone wanted to recreate the Office Blokes in the USA. No problem with it.
Well, I'd have a problem with it. Trademark issues and all that sort of stuff. You better be kicking up some of that cash. But Dad's Army, I mean, some of these, I think because I've grown up watching, they're so iconic. That's where I'm a bit like...
See, Dad's Army's so old, I can't remember it very well. Same as like Steptoe and Son. I used to watch that quite a bit, but I can't remember it very well because I was young.
I never watched that. But Dad's Army is... I think the sense of humour and the jokes they make are so British that anyone who tries to do a remake are going to struggle massively.
As did a lot of people, including my dad and everybody's dad. An army of dads watched Dad's Army, and Dad's Army was a British TV show providing a comedic send-up of the UK's Home Guard from World War II. And it's funny because, as the name Home Guard suggests, these characters weren't trained soldiers, but for the most part senior citizens doing their bit for the war effort. And of course a lot of the jokes centred around this. And in the 60s and 70s it was another way for the British to look back at World War II and see the absolute funny side. Well, just like with World War II, the Americans entered the game a few years later. In 1976, ABC piloted a television show called The Rear Guard, which was based on Dad's Army. And just talking about this allows me to introduce to you another British versus American term difference, because the characters in The Rear Guard, most of whom were archetypes of those in Dad's Army, were members not of the English Home Guard, but the American Civil Defence. However, it never made it beyond the original pilot episode, the tapes for which were wiped. You can see a minute's worth of it right here on YouTube, if you type in the words The Rear Guard 1976. As we all know, comedy can sometimes get a little too light and we occasionally need a helping of dark relief. This month is Mystery Month on BritBox, where you can catch some of Britain's finest mysteries. From Agatha Christie classics such as Miss Marple and Poirot to more recent offerings such as Father Brown, Shakespeare and Hathaway and MacDonald and Dodds.
Is there any that you'd like to see remade by any other nation?
Comedy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Only Fools and Horses.
Didn't they do it?
Don't know. I've never seen anything that compares to it.
It is, it's really good.
I'd like to see a remake of that in sort of like some different nationality where it's, and I think that'll translate to American because you've got the street trader sort of like, sort of guy.
Possibly.
But you take it back to when Del Boy was around, it was all, mobile phones, and, in the USA they had them first. Well, not necessarily first, but they had the ones there. They were the Wall Street sort of like trader was there.
I suppose the dodgy dealer, hustler is a universal thing. I think my issue more is when they try and transplant the exact characters and the exact jokes. And it's like when they did not that I've seen it, but the all-female Ghostbusters. Right. And it's like, have your own thing. Yeah. Have another thing where it's just badass women that are their own characters rather than trying to recreate the men.
I'd like to say, Only Fools and Horses I'd like to see, but purely based on the fact of I'd like to see that translated into the US humour scene. Which I think it'd be quite easy to do.
Yeah.
Similar sort of characters, different storyline, obviously. But the same sort of like premise of it all. For a group of guys around a bar and, we're all wheeler dealer type guys. And,
I can see that working if it was done right.
Car salesman, all that kind of thing.
Well, the dodgy car salesman is universal, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So you've got all them universal characters like Del Boy, who's the trader, the hustler. Then you've got Boyce, who's the dodgy car salesman. Yeah. You've got the street cleaner. You've got all the dopey street cleaner type things. So you've got everyone that could be. It's easy to fit them characters into sort of like something. It's just that you'd have to tweak the jokes. A lot of the jokes on Only Fools and Horses are very, very British.
Yeah,
sarcasm, piss taking.
But then if you look at the American Office, the bits I have seen, they've kept a sense of humour very similar to the British one, where it is deadpan sarcasm, awkward comedy. So,
but it's not hard to do. It's not that difficult to do that. But you've got to have the right show.
Yeah,
and it's obviously Only Fools and Horses is probably the most iconic comedy over here.
They
ever.
Must have tried it. They must have, because it was such a success.
I went to a show not long ago where the characters were your waiters. I don't know if I told you this, and it was called the Only Fools and Horses Experience. And you sat having dinner, and the waiters are all characters from the show. So you've got like Del Boy, you've got Rodney, you've got Cassandra, you've got everyone in there. And at one point, Trigger comes round, he takes my coat, and I went for a piss. Some guy's in the toilet with my coat on, and I went, make sure you don't do any damage to that coat. And he went, what do you mean? I went, it's mine. He went, I thought it was a joker part of the show. He said, I really like this. I went, yeah, it's mine. It wasn't, it was a nice coat. I went, just make sure you put it back, And he was like, wow, good job you told me.
Yeah, he walks out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, the link is also in my description. below. Back in the late 2000s, the BBC launched a popular comedy exploring the relationship between an Essex man and a woman from Wales. That show, as well as their names, was Gavin and/or Stacey. It also features its co-creator James Corden before absolutely everything else did. And Americans who are into 21st century British television often tell me that Gavin and Stacey is among their favourites. But few, if any, have said the same thing about its American equivalent. In 2013, the television network Fox were this close to airing a show called Us and Them, with John Ritter's son and Rory from the Gilmore Girls cast in the lead roles. Initially, Fox gave Us and Them a 13-episode order for whittling this down to 7, and then decided not to show it at all. In fact, few people outside of the South African and South Korean markets would lay eyes on this show for another 5 years before those 7 episodes, a number that is authentically British, were aired on Sony Crackle. Another British comedy that stars one half of French and Saunders that American Anglophiles seem to be into is The Vicar of Dibley. This 1994 show was written in response to a 1992 ruling by the Church of England that for the first time allowed female vicars. Created by Richard Curtis of Blackadder and Love Actually fame, The Vicar of Dibley starred Dawn French and was a huge hit with British audiences. And even before it found an American audience during the era of streaming television, an American version by the name of The Minister of Divine was announced by Fox in 2007. The show was set to feature former Cheers star Kirstie Alley in the lead role. But the show never made it beyond the pilot stage because Fox clearly hates British television. A wise person once said that it's much easier.
I've never seen that neither. Vicar of Dibley.
It's good.
Not my type of humour.
Very much dated nowadays, but as far as like your Sunday evening at sort of 7 o'clock with the family, you know, years ago when you used to sit and watch one TV, it was that sort of comedy that everyone could get behind. Everyone would be laughing.
Yeah, just I'm not French Saunders, you know, all that sort of them comedic.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Not for me.
It's of its time nowadays, especially. But the Minister of Divine, who got paid to come up with that title for a show? That is one of the worst titles I've ever heard in my life. And you can guarantee the person that came up with it was getting paid a fortune, weren't they?
To sell a show if it has no more than 3 words in the title. Some British shows often like to break this rule, including Some Mothers Do Have 'Em, Lost in the Pond. And this was particularly true in the 1970s, when it was presumably illegal for comedy shows to not have a title that was a full sentence. A fine example being, Are You Being Served? The show, which is another popular hit among American fans of British TV, follows the comedic mishaps and misadventures of the staff of the retail ladies and gentlemen's clothing department at Grace Brothers. By the late 1970s, America had seen a string of successful remakes of British television shows, including Three's Company, All in the Family, and Sanford and Son. And so Gary Marshall, the director...
Did you know Sanford and Son was a British programme that was remade?
Steptoe and Son.
Oh, in fact, you know what? You said that when we reacted to it, didn't you?
My dad and Harry H. Corbett were very good friends.
Wow.
Growing up.
Yeah.
Company, All in the Family, and Sanford and Son. And so Gary Marshall, the director of Happy Days, decided, one more can't harm anything. The show, featuring the same characters as the British version, was to be called Beans of Boston. The actors Alan Suze, John Hillerman, and Charlotte Rae were cast, but CBS ultimately didn't order a full season, and the show never went ahead. Fawlty Towers, one of Britain's most beloved comedies of all time. The show, written by John Cleese and his then American wife Connie Booth, concerned the daily frustrations of hotel manager Basil Fawlty. One of Britain's most successful comedies of all time, Fawlty Towers ran for a whopping 12 episodes before it was concluded in 1979. And I know what you're thinking. Lawrence, Fawlty Towers had an American version? And the answer to that is no. What? Why did you lie to us? I didn't lie. Fawlty Towers didn't have an American version. It had 3 of them. Whoa, then we stand corrected. Good. The first attempt happened during Fawlty Towers' original run. In 1978, Harvey Korman and Betty White were cast in ABC's pilot episode for a little show called Chateau Snavely. The key difference being that instead of setting the show in a coastal hotel, Chateau Snavely was to take place in a motel by the highway. Sort of like Psycho, for the comedy version. But ABC killed it, not like Norman Bates, and a full season was never ordered. 5 years later, ABC made another attempt, and their thinking must have been along the lines of, well, if one of the Golden Girls wasn't a big enough draw, we'll just get another one. I've just realised that show didn't come out till 1985. Anyway, a television show by the name of Amanda's starring B. Arthur did get a full season order, was set in a seaside hotel, and was ultimately cancelled after 13 episodes. Amazingly, that is more than Fawlty Towers got, and therein lies one of the major differences between Britain and America. And the third and so far final attempt came in 1999 with CBS's Pain. This time set in a hotel off the coast of California. The TV show was set to feature cameo appearances from John Cleese himself, but things never got that far because it was cancelled after 8 episodes. And it's hardly surprising, the show was received with widespread negative reviews, with many saying that it was just too Hollywood and completely lost the British charm of the original. Could an American Fawlty Towers ever work? Let me know in the comments below where you think a US version should be set, and who the cast members should be. And yes, I have an agent. And those were 7 British TV shows whose American remakes didn't really work out. Let me know in the comments below your favourite American remake of a British TV series. I'm Lawrence Brown. You can follow me on Twitter at LostInThePondUS, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that I don't have to. Until the next video, goodbye.
Cheers, Lawrence. I do think honourable mentions would be good at the end of videos like that. Do you not think where you could say these didn't make the list, but here's a few others that
see what you mean? Yeah, but I wonder how many have gone the other way
that have been successful.
No, USA and brought over into the UK.
I don't know. I can't even think of one, but I'm sure there is.
You probably can't think of one, but I bet there's loads. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think more game shows and stuff I can see going that way, but like sitcoms and things, I'm not so sure.
No, I can't think of any sitcoms that sort of like spring to mind, sort of thing.
Have to let us know in the comment section if there is any. I'm sure. I'm like you say. I'm sure there must be.
I just think there's loads out there. I think comedy writing's become lazy because it's become a very sort of like, it's not as funny as it used to be, just purely based on the fact of some things you can and can't say.
Yeah,
and I think some people who are writing the comedy now are a little bit old and past it. So from what I've seen from comedy writers that are over here at the moment, especially the British ones, but some of them that are coming through. I mean, you've got some really, really funny. Lee Mack, for example, didn't get that show going till, I think he had about 7 or 8 different attempts. He didn't want to do it.
I don't like it.
You don't? I
not going out.
Funny. Yeah, I think it's quite funny. Very dry and very quick.
It's too canned laughter for me. It's too like.
Yeah, I know you mean,
when something's said.
But that's his. It's like stand-up comedy in a sitcom. The way he's packaged it.
Yeah,
but it is if you can get your head around that, you might see it in a different light. Try watching it as stand-up comedy.
I'll try.
As Lee Mack stand-up, because it's one-liners. It's just constant coming out with one-liners sort of thing. Tim Vine in it as well. One of the funniest guys for one-lines.
I do like Lee Mack as well.
Do you like Tim Vine?
Yeah, it's a funny guy.
When he did the early seasons, very, very funny. But I don't know. It's I think it's just become lazy.
I completely agree with you on that, and I think transplanting something where the cultural references in the jokes don't land, you've already got that version of it where they land, and I'm sure people like watching it because they assume all British people are like they are in the programme, and when you just try and transplant a formula, I mean, it's worked with The Office, you can't deny that. That's probably made billions.
I think what you get there though, mate, I think what you see is you'll see a British show being aired, say, in America, and not all Americans will watch it because it's British.
Yeah, well, it becomes niche. It becomes like a cult following.
So you probably only get a few. It's a small minority that are going to be watching it. Whereas if you bring that over and make it an American sitcom, then you're going to get more of a crowd. I think more of an audience because people will take to it more because it's they understand it more. A lot of people can't understand the English accent. They don't know. A lot of people say it to us. Don't know what you're saying.
Fuck you on about that's like bullshit. I can't even fucking believe it. You just fucking love it.
Minting it.
Yeah, so sick. It's worth saying when you say a lot of the writers are probably quite old nowadays. Shane Gillis is currently working on season 2 of Gillian Keeves.
Yeah, which is again, it's one of them where you need that. You need writers like people like Shane Gillis and the ones that are coming through the comedy writing. They need to be given a chance. Too many people are giving so many chances with the same writing that they've been doing for the last 30 years, 40 years, which they might have had one real success, and then the other ones are all borderline that end up on like BBC 3 and BBC 4. And
can you imagine being in a writer's room now though with the old, remember like the writers' strikes in America where they weren't allowed to work and things like that, and there was loads of union disputes. And can you imagine the red tape in the writers' room for a lot of these big companies now? Everyone's round a table and they pitch a really funny joke, and then someone with a clipboard goes.
That's why you generic TV and even your streaming platforms now, like your Netflix or your Amazons of the world and things like that, they're dropping, they're declining because the content's not as good. Yeah. You can find better content on YouTube or whatever.
In a lot of cases, yeah. But they make a joke and then someone's like, "Do you mind if we change that Chinese person in the joke to insert other, because we want to sell the show to the Chinese market or whatever." And it's so restrained that.
That's what I'm saying. Offensive comedy's right up my street. I like that. I like listening to it.
Same.
But when it's going away, it becomes lazy. Yeah. And it's because you've got to be a little bit more creative to be offensive, and that's what comedy is.
Yeah.
And it's but when I look at even the presenters that are on TV shows and the hosts of TV shows, it's the same ones that are just rammed down our throat constantly of what you see. It's the same. They're just recycling them for. You see one guy who does like 7 different shows, and I'm like, give someone else a fucking chance.
They're so interchangeable as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
You just swap out one presenter for another, and it's the exact same show.
Exactly. Yeah. But whereas you want something different and let other people have a chance. I don't want to see one guy who's hosting fucking Antique Roadshow start doing the chase. I don't want that. I want someone different.
You know what? I've started since having kids. I've watched a lot of CBeebies when they're young, and that's like the kids' TV show from the BBC over here, or the channel, sorry, with loads of shows under it. And then you see someone transition from CBeebies to daytime TV, and then there's a girl that's she's on the news. She's Irish with sort of jet black hair. I can't remember her name for the life of me. I'm sure she's Irish. And I remember her from
she's
CBeebies.
Through the transition of a TV presenter.
Yeah, and she was suddenly on the news.
I have no problem with that. I have no problem with someone being a TV presenter from there and then moving to there, moving there. But what I don't want to see is one guy doing, like say, Antiques Roadshow, then a quiz show, then something else show, then all for the same channel, but all on the same platform. He's the one that's doing it all. He's getting paid, so much for this, so much for that, so much for this, so much for that. When you've got other people that can slot in there.
You know what it is? It's the golden handshakes.
It's lazy.
That's what it is. It's like, we'll pay you 3 million quid a year. You can't work for anyone else. Essentially, that is your salary. And then they go, well, you already do this, but why don't you do this? And there's probably no extra money involved.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like, and then we don't have to find another presenter.
Yeah. But if you don't have that rapport and like that presenter, then you're not watching the other show that they're doing.
Definitely.
Yeah. You're turning it off and thinking, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
But anyway.
James Corden.
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget, like and subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.